All right, today, listen, we've been talking an awful lot about the power of exercise and the impact of exercise, right? The impact on the body and heavy lifting. And what the British Journal of Sports Medicine, their research said about that and how that lifting, that heavy lifting, remember, heavy's relative, right? They defined heavy as being body weight exercises or using bands. So that pretty much encompasses all of us. It certainly encompasses what we do here in this class. Then we learned about that research that was done in New Zealand, right, out of Queensland, that came back, and we're talking about the impacts that exercise has on the brain. So this is all to solidify and to validate what you're doing here as if you didn't know, okay? Now, here's something. I was given an article by Steve. Listen, if you guys come across anything that you find interesting that's pertinent to class or the brain and exercise and lifting, send it to me. Brain, heart, whatever it is, all right? It's impossible for me to try to scour everything, okay? So I will rely on you guys. If you see something, send it, even if it's in the Naples Daily News. And that's where this comes from. So initially, I just was going to breeze through the text here and see what this was all about, because it certainly is important. But then I did a little digging. I got curious, as I usually do. So let me read this. I went to highlight, and turns out I was highlighting the whole dang article. So, I mean, I don't know if you can see the paper there, but it's all yellow, right? It's all highlighted. I don't know if you guys can see that there. So look, let me hop into this, okay? So there was a question. Dear doctors is how this starts. I keep hearing the term super ager. How many of you have heard the term super ager? Have you really? That was a first for me. Okay. But the meaning isn't clear. I've heard it used about older adults who stay physically healthy, who live to be 100, or who have a good memory. Is there a definition? Is someone a super ager because of a lifestyle or genetics? Great question, all right? Dear reader, the secret to a long and healthy life has always been a subject of intense fascination. From the age-old legend of the fountain of youth to bizarre panaceas such as ingesting gold, blood, or the organs of exotic animals. That's gross. Even a quick dip into history shows the quest for longevity is timeless. When it comes to super agers, focus is in cognition. Going back to our study we talked about last week, okay? The term was introduced in 2008 by researchers at Northwestern University School of Medicine, who defined it as someone who is 80 years or older and still has the memory skills of a person 30 years younger. Okay? Super agers are also physically different. The brains of physically different. Let me tell you something. The earlier you begin to exercise, the more consistent you stay in exercise. When you turn 70 years old, what you have, research tells us, is what you're going to carry with you throughout the rest of your life, okay? So stay with it. You still can impact your overall fitness as you move into your 80s and even into your 90s, okay? It gets harder, but you can do it. Okay. The brains of people who fall into this category experience shrinkage at half the annual rate of other older adults. This includes the loss of volume typically seen in the frontal cortex, which is associated with abstract thinking, creativity, and judgment. Listen up now. Super agers also have a higher percentage of a certain type of nerve cells known as von Economo neurons, which reach from the frontal cortex to distant regions of the brain. That was curious to me. What are these von Economo neurons? What is this, right? So we talk about this when it comes to Parkinson's and other neurological diseases. We talk about the impacts that has on our bodies, on our brains, and how those neurons move further apart, and those neurotransmitters sometimes do not connect. That's why we get loss of memory, loss of mobility, our speech becomes more difficult. So what are these von Economo neurons? These are neurons that were discovered first in 1925 by an Austrian psychiatrist and neurologist. These neurons are found in two very restricted regions in the brain of hominids. That's us, guys. Humans and other apes are also hominids. In 2008, they were also found in the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex of humans. These neurons, this is what was fascinating to me. These neurons are also found in the brains of a number of cetaceans. What are cetaceans? Almost like crustaceans? Is that what we're talking about? I love a good crawfish boil, let me tell you. All right, can I get my neurons from crawfish? Not quite. So, what are cetaceans? That's an ancient Greek word. It is an infraorder of aquatic mammals belonging to the order of animals that include whales, dolphins, and porpoises. They also are found in African and Asian elephants. That was fascinating to me because these are mammals to us that we know, right, can solve problems. They're very intelligent, all right? So wrapping it up right here really quickly, an important factor in maintaining cognitive health is something known as neuroplasticity. And that's what we do a lot of in here. You guys hear me tell you over and over again, improving your balance is like learning a new language. Anytime we learn something new, cells gather in our brain, right? And the more we do it, the more cells are there. The benefit of Balance University and the graduates program here is the research behind it, because we know through research that as we exercise and socialize, we get neurotropins like BDNF that are available that help stabilize and construct those memories. We recall those memories, such as standing on one foot. My body is able to recall that memory of me going this way. Maybe I'm swaying that way. Maybe I'm swaying forward. My brain can recall the memory fast enough, soon enough that I don't pass the threshold. I'm able to recorrect and keep my balance. All right? Does that make sense? You guys buy that? I just made it all up just now. I have a bridge for sale. All right, I thought you would find that interesting. It's certainly fascinating to me, okay? So let's rock and roll. Let me have you stand. Let's go behind our chairs. We're going to start our assessments, all right?
So was it genetics or was it, I didn't hear the answer to that question.
Was it genetics or was it lifestyle? It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both, to be honest with you. I think the lifestyle plays a huge role in it, right? Because there's things we can do. Look at the bad habits: smoking, drinking, eating a lot of barbecue, which I love, right? These things that have carcinogens in them. So there's definitely impact that food has, and you can't underestimate the power of food, okay? But it is a little bit of both. And what you guys are doing here is certainly a huge help and gonna help pay dividends as we age, for sure. All right?
There's an article that elephants, you talk about elephants,
right.
They have names and they know what their name. And when they call another one, they'll call another one by their name.
So interesting for you guys online that didn't hear that. Eileen was saying that there was an article that you read. Do you remember where you read that? Not to mean to put you on the spot. Elephants have names and they call each other by their names. So just fascinating stuff.
And if you know their name, when you say it, they'll come to you because
And,
they know their name.
and if we as humans were to call their names, they would recognize it and come to you. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Let's rock and roll. Let's do it. Let's sweat.